Live. You are watching Buffalo After Dark.
Hi everybody, it's Tom, and we usually don't go live on Sundays, but today is one of those days where straight up the Bills got their ass handed to them, and I wanted to give you guys a chance to really talk about some of the different things that ended up happening today. And obviously, if you guys want to vent about the game, because there's a lot to talk about, by all means, you're more welcome to give us a shout. So if you want to call in, we're live. I'll stay on for about a half hour or so. 929-205-6099 gets you on the air. And of course, just use the meeting ID and passcode that are in the Facebook link. This will also be uploaded to our YouTube channel afterwards. So of course, if you want to check out any of our past shows, or if you want to look at some of our other offerings, such as Coffee Chat, The Kraken's Lair, and of course, other Buffalo After Dark episodes, you're more than welcome to go ahead and do so. But the thing I will tell you today, what the fuck was the matter with the defense and the run game? Cody Ford, can't you block? Seriously, you're a first-round talent. You can't block shit. And then on top of it, I mean, there's going to be people that'll blame the weather. There is rain. There is wind. But there is no excuse for a defense that cannot stop Jonathan Taylor. And I'm just going to say it right now. The way that this team played today and the way we played against Jacksonville, I mean, we're not first in the AFC East anymore, guys. New England took that title today. But if we cannot protect on the interior, we're not going to make it to the playoffs, and we're not going to win. It's that simple, guys. So basically, just to recap what ended up happening today, it was an ugly game overall. Jonathan Taylor ends up getting a 3-yard run at 6:05 with 6:05 in the first, so that brought us to 7-0 Indy. Then Jonathan Taylor, 23-yard touchdown pass from Carson Wentz, 14-0, and that's how the first quarter ended. Trevor Hauer from the Hauer Hour, if you want to jump on, feel free. You know, I would love to talk about this game with you too, because I know you follow the Colts quite a bit. Then what ended up happening in the second quarter? I mean, Stephon Diggs finally got us on the board, 6-yard pass from Josh Allen, and then of course afterwards, Begley from 36 yards out ends up hitting a field goal, so it ends up being 17-7. Then Jonathan Taylor again, 2-yard touchdown run, 24-7. And then we go in the halftime. Third quarter, Jonathan Taylor, 10-yard touchdown run, makes it 31-7 Buffalo. Jonathan Taylor afterwards, a 1-yard touchdown run, makes it 38-7. Then Stephon Diggs, which was probably the only bright spot on the offense today, ended up getting a 9-yard pass from Josh Allen to make it 38-15, and then Bagley ended up getting a 35-yard field goal, and basically ends the game 41-15. Now, I will say, Matt Breida, keep him in the lineup, because, I mean, he had some good runs today, and he had that one I think it was, I want to say it was at least a 28-yard run, and then we ended up getting the 15 added on top of it because of the fact that Indy ended up getting caught with that personal foul penalty, the unnecessary roughness. But good Lord, I mean, what in the hell were we watching today? I mean, yes, Spencer Brown out. I get it. But Cody Ford, you're a big ass dude who's supposed to be blocking, and you can't block shit. I'm going to tell you guys, if Cody Ford's not out of here at the end of the year, I don't know what happens. Cut him already. He's not worth it. And quite honestly, he should have been out of here before the season. And I don't even know how he ended up making it. But unfortunately, because we have no damn depth on the line, this is what we expected, guys. I mean, well, honestly, I expected that we were supposed to win, and this was going to be a very good test. But let's look at it last year also. Indy almost beat us in the playoffs. I mean, they were very close to beating us, and we just barely made it through. So I have to tell you that, I mean, Indy's got a good team. Frank Reich is a good coach, and Jonathan Taylor's a beast. I mean, him as a running back, I mean, now we know why Indy ended up drafting him. Straight up. That dude is literally like what we saw when we played Tennessee. And yeah, Derrick Henry, perfect example. I mean, guy's just a big body and he will just plow through everybody. And that's exactly what ends up happening. I don't know what to tell you, but there's a lot of problems that need to be fixed on this offensive line right now. We have talent at the wide receiver spot. Other than Dawson Knox, I mean, we don't really have a great tight end. So, and unfortunately, Tommy Sweeney is not the answer. So that's one problem. But Cody Ford, oh my God. I am just going to tell you right now, guys, if he is not out of here at the end of the season, I don't know what to tell you. But I'm going to pin a lot of this on him because he just, without a doubt, is somebody that can't do his damn job. And we have to improve. I mean, there's just no question about that. We have to improve. Now, Feliciano, I mean, is on IR, so unfortunately we can't go to him. I mean, there's just not a lot of depth right now, especially up front, and that's really one of the problems that we end up running into. And I almost had, and then Star Lotulelei, same thing, him being out on the COVID-19 list like Spencer Brown was. I mean, those are two big bodies that, you know, we could have utilized today. And Spencer Brown, especially as an offensive tackle, I mean, he is 100 times better than what Cody Ford is. I mean, there's no question about that. And if anyone wants to say that Cody Ford is a better person, I mean, you know, give us your reasoning on why you're thinking about that. I mean, you know, we need to improve at that guard position, and it has to be soon. We just cannot keep going the route that we're going. All right. Ike Bedgar is better than Cody Ford even. I mean, if you want to look at it from a pure playing standpoint, but this whole line is beyond screwed up right now. And I will tell you, you know, the way that we're going at this point, I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, we have some tougher contests coming up. I mean, we play New England twice next month, and we need to be ready for that. New England is playing a lot better than I thought they would have. And I mean, and I will say the fact that Mac Jones has turned out to be a pretty good QB for them. And they're finding ways to win considering a lot of the problems that they had early in the season. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys, but I mean, straight up, you know, this is not what we signed up for. And I can tell you that straight up. If you guys want to give a shout, 929-205-6099 gets you on the air with us. And certainly, you know, we're happy to talk to everybody. The press conference for Sean McDermott will be on a little bit later. We'll have that on our page. But I'm frustrated as a Bills fan, guys. I mean, we have one of the easiest damn schedules in the league, and we can't beat Indy, which they are actually one of the tougher teams, I was thinking, you know, early on in the season. And then, of course, we end up shitting the bed with Jacksonville. Guys, tell me, are we a Super Bowl team? Not right now, we're not. I'm thinking we're a first round done because of what we have right now. I mean, that's just kind of the way I look at it. I don't know what to tell you, But right now, it's pretty pathetic with what we're seeing at this point. And some of the other things I want to tell you too. Now, Baltimore, Chicago, that's actually a pretty interesting matchup right now because Baltimore is only leading by 3. And I mean, just even taking a look at that game right now, and I have it on my other screen. I mean, Lamar Jackson ended up going to one of his read options and he ended up completing a pass, but I mean, they're playing better. I mean, like Sean said on Buffalo After Dark this past Thursday when we recorded it. Any given Sunday, and that's a very true statement. He did the same thing, when he did his Bills rant a couple weeks ago when he talked about what happened with the Jacksonville game. Same thing, any given Sunday, things can happen. And the thing that the Bills need to be aware of is that we cannot continue to play the way that we've been playing and then run into problems with what we're doing. Now, the thing that also killed the Bills today, 7 penalties, 56 yards. I mean, Indy only had 3 for 30. And then the time of possession, Indy had over 37 minutes, and the Bills only had 22. I mean, the total net yards was fairly similar. I mean, both teams had over 300, Bills at 307 and Indy with 370. But the problems that we ran into, well, A, the fumbles, that was a problem. B, we had at least 3 interceptions today. That didn't work. The run game, other than Matt Breida, nobody was doing anything. And I don't know what to say, but it's just right now, this team is not where they're supposed to be. And the problem that we run into is now we're getting towards the end of the season when all the teams play tough. Every single day, the teams are tough. That's what happened. Tyler Bass, 2 missed field goals today. He ended up missing one. His first one that he missed was from 37. Second one he missed was from 44. And then on top of that, think about it this way, block punt. I mean, but the interceptions were absolutely brutal. And you can't be doing that because it's like the time of possession is everything when it comes to NFL. I mean, you have to dominate the time of possession most weeks to win. And especially when the weather is crappy as it is today, I mean, how is it that we can't establish a run game? Well, it's simple. We don't have a legitimate number 1 running back. We don't have someone like a Derrick Henry. We don't have somebody like a Jonathan Taylor, who was just running roughshod all over everybody. We don't have somebody like a Najee Harris who's been playing well for Pittsburgh. Let's face it, Bills fans, we don't have a run game. And if anyone thinks that Zach Moss or Devin Singletary are a number 1 running back, you need to get your head examined. I mean, we don't have a run game. We don't have run blocking. We don't know how to play against the run. And basically what happens is that today, we're not in first place of the AFC anymore. And the other problem is Indy ended up running a cover 2 defense against us, and that's the same damn defense that Jacksonville used against us to win. It's also the same defense that Tony Dungy made famous when he ended up winning the Super Bowl with the Colts. I mean, he's a master of the cover 2. So, Brian Trainer, he's on the chat. He ended up asking, does the loss put us at 500? No, we're at 6-4 right now. So, far cry from where we were. Far cry from where we were a few weeks ago. But in either case, I mean, that cover 2 is giving the Bills fits. And then one of the things I can tell you is that what happens on a cover 2 defense? Well, it's pretty straightforward. So basically, the easiest way to explain it, base cover 2 is a zone defense, and then every defender is responsible for an area of the field, and they don't cover a specific person. And what they do is that they divide the field into 5 underneath zones and 2 deep zones. So you have 2 corners and 3 linebackers play the underneath fifths, and then you have 2 safeties play the deep halves. That's the easiest way to describe it. In fact, what I can do is I can actually bring it up on here as a schematic and then kind of just show you what it is. But basically, you know what? I'm going to share the screen with you guys, and then I'll let you take a look at it. And then, you know, here it is. So basically on a cover 2, as we see, okay. All right, so it's the zone defense is what we talked about. So what happens is that you're basically, you have your 5 underneath zones, which is basically right here. So you have your first, your second, your third, your fourth, and your fifth. And then you have the 2 deep safeties right up in here. So this is basically what you're working with. So then as you're working with that, what happens is that the safeties are going to have the biggest area to cover, and they have a ton of field to cover, because basically when you have your strong safety and your field safety, I mean, you're covering all of this right here. Okay. And then you also have your 5 underneath. So basically the corners are responsible for their outside parts of the field, is their shell area, but they have to sink into the receivers until another receiver threatens their zone. And then that's basically how they'll work with it. So it's just a big thing that if a team can do it well, then, you know, that's great. I mean, it's something where, you know, it'll get you there, you know, and it can be very effective in the coverage. But at the same time, when you look at how some of these schematics go, it's just something where, you know, here's an idea of how the pattern's read. So it's a zone coverage. It's basically like a deep zone is what they're running, especially in the back part of the field. So then basically from here, what happens is that if you're an offense and you're going to attack it, I mean, really one of the things that a lot of teams are going to typically do is that you're going to have 4 vertical receivers. So you're basically going to have something along the lines of where you're going to have that. You're going to work with, and I'm gonna, you know, and I apologize, you know, I wanted to show you guys this again, but basically you're going to have your 4 verticals here, your receivers, and then what's happening is that's basically overloading the safety. So you're going to have like 2 people that come out, and then basically from here you have an option here, you have an option here, you basically have 2 options here, and that's one way that you can attack that. And the Bills, for some reason, especially when we've played against cover 2 defense, we haven't done anything with that. And I would love to know why. We just have not done much with it. And it's been a problem with us. And I think, you know, defensively, I mean, there's only so much that our team can really do. I mean, but I also think at the same time, we don't necessarily have all of the personnel to work with it. All right. So then, I mean, there's a bunch of variations with it also. I mean, you could also stretch out to the horizontally to the corners. You can run a man under. I mean, which that's actually one option that can happen. And that's something where, you know, when I'm going to show you this again as well. But when you look at a variation of man under, this is actually where a defense is going to play two deep safeties here. But then what happens is then you're going to have man-to-man coverage here and so forth. So that's another option that a lot of teams can run. And same thing, because, you know, you have that personnel, and especially because of the run game, I mean, you're basically, if you're running 5 underneath, this is like an overload, essentially, is what it's looking at. So that's another thing I wanted to just kind of share with you guys. And that's something that I was noticing, especially with what was being done today, and also what happened against Jacksonville when we played them a couple weeks ago. So the thing is this: cover 2, do a lot of teams run it? No. But it is very effective, because you're basically going to have 5 people on defense. that play underneath. You have two safeties. And basically what happens is that the offense has to be at a very high level to be effective. But what happens is because you're running the 5 people, the 5 defenders, especially up front, you're not allowing space for easy throws. So you're forcing a QB to throw deep. And look what happened today. That led to several interceptions. Josh Allen was not a good QB today. And a lot of times also is because you're running the safeties because they have so much field to cover. Especially what happens is then if anything does go out deep, then you're usually creating a man-to-man defense situation. And a lot of times if you have somebody that's a great safety like Trey White, I mean, he'll pick up on it and he can cover it. So that's really what it is. I mean, you have to have a good pass rush. Indy has that. We don't. What can I say? We got our ass handed to us twice this year on teams that play cover 2. And that's what it is. So I just wanted to kind of give you some of my thoughts on that. If you want to jump in, call in the show, you're more than welcome to 929-205-6099. I just want to go over a couple other last points, and then we'll get out of here for the afternoon. Right now, AFC North actually is standings. Baltimore is in the lead, then followed by Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. And right now, just to give you an idea, New England's dominating Atlanta 25-0 right now. So that's no surprise. Atlanta's a garbage team right now at this point. And then really from there, what's going to happen, with the AFC East? Well, now New England's going to be sole possession of first place because of the fact that they're playing well and they're going to probably win against Atlanta. We needed to win this game to stay in first, and now we saw what happened today. We got dominated, and it's an understatement. And the thing is, even though the score was ugly against Jacksonville kicked our ass all game. It's that simple. So what can I tell you guys? I mean, it's pretty nasty with what we ended up seeing today. So that being said, what's going to happen is obviously, the Bills are going to have to go back to the drawing board. They're going to have to figure some stuff out. With that being said, also, really the biggest thing I can say is that in terms of the schedule, with where we're at right now, does not get any easier, guys. Next week we play the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. Then we play New England. Then we play Tampa. Then we play Carolina. And here's one thing I want to say about the Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton rejuvenated that offense because Carolina is playing great now. And the thing I will tell you is that the Carolina game, that's going to be a flex game. Then we play New England. Then we have Atlanta. And then we close out the season against the Jets. So really the only winnable contest, straight up on paper, Atlanta and New York, the New York Jets. But New England's going to be a tough test both times. Tampa's going to be a tough test both times. Carolina is a wild card because of the fact that now with Cam Newton taking over the reins again, going back home and taking over for Sam Darnold, I mean, Carolina dominated today. And then New Orleans, we should, and I say should, be able to win that game. But they're a crapshoot team. They have had some pretty decent contests this year. So, guys, it's not going to be an easy road the rest of the way. It's just not going to be. And if we really want to improve our team as a whole, we really have to work on that, on the rush defense. I mean, we need to also work on our offensive line blocking because Cody Ford's not the answer. And when Spencer Brown as a rookie is playing much better than your first round pick from a couple years ago, there's no excuse for that. I'm sorry to say, Cody Ford, if I were the coach, your ass would be gone already. But unfortunately, we don't have the depth right now. And that's going to be probably one of the problems that we need to look at, especially as we go into the offseason when it comes to the NFL draft in 2022, and also when it comes to free agency this coming year. We need to bulk up that line, and we need to improve, especially in the guard positions. We have to. But we're not going to win playoff games if we don't improve the guards and if we don't improve that whole offensive line blocking scheme altogether. And I will say this, Brian Daboll, I think you're under the microscope right now, if I'm being honest, because the performances that you've had the last couple of weeks have not been extremely convincing. And you cannot have this yo-yo of performances. You just can't. I mean, the Jets, we kicked their ass. Okay, that was a statement game. We needed that. But to totally blow it against an inferior Jacksonville team, and then to blow it against an Indy team, which you knew was going to be tough, I have to question some of your playmaking ability. I mean, your play calling ability. I have to question it. Do I think Josh Allen has some good plays that he can work with? Absolutely, I do. And we've seen that with the QB read options. We've seen it with the QB sneaks. We've seen it with the run plays that are designed for Josh Allen to work with. But when your QB typically is one of your best runners on the entire team, and you don't have an established number one running back, that's a problem. And we've been saying this for a couple of years now. Needless to say, Buffalo Bills, you got to get your act together. We cannot have any more of these types of losses. We just can't. And I hope that the Jacksonville game was the first wake-up call. This is your freaking reality call, guys. This is the reality call that really tells us like it is. The Bills right now are not good enough to win the Super Bowl. And I know this past week that the Bills were listed as favorites to win it all, and they were listed as having a 99.9% chance of making the playoffs. So, well, guess what? You have some more of these losses, you ain't getting in. So, anyways, anyone who ended up commenting today, thanks for jumping on. I wanted to get out there to share a half hour of, some of my thoughts about today's game, some of what I've been seeing throughout the last couple of weeks. I honestly didn't expect to go into the detail about cover 2, but I hope you guys found that interesting and how it works. And then really from there, we're going to be back on Buffalo After Dark this coming Wednesday night. We'll talk more about this game with the gang. And then we'll also talk more Sabres hockey and some other stuff going on as well. So for now, it's, thanks for joining me. I normally don't come out on Sundays, but I figured, what? Let's talk. Let's get it out there. Take care of yourselves and each other, guys. I'll see you next time.
Buffalo After Dark is an HNH Studio production and distributed by Horns and Hooves Entertainment.